going to St. Mary's North. Comrade Molwyn Joseph, come to the platform, man.
There's no use to chat with the devil.
Who are here sing? Who are here you? Listen.
From in a Babylon kingdom.
We not go in a Babylon kingdom. Hey, hey. Tell Chester use. Tell Chester use.
Satan company. Them are snipers.
All of them.
Satan company. Them are snipers. Now go in a Babylon kingdom. We go beg them bread. We not tried in a Babylon kingdom. We go beg them bread. For Satan company.
Sing out, sing out.
Them a sniper.
Wanna be, wanna be.
Satan company. Them a sniper.
Good night, comrades and friends. Good night. Let me first say how thankful I am to be here tonight and to say to the people of St. Mary's North that victory is nigh once again. And we have a particular job, you know. It's not like the other candidates. We have a job not only to defeat the person that's running against us, but we must end his career. I'm getting too many complaints from the parents of young men in my constituency. Too many. And if anybody doubts, I have the evidence. And let me tell you, the things I heard about All Saints East and St. Luke's have been proven in St. Mary's North. And we're going to bring an end to it. But let me tell you something tonight. I sat there all night and I look at the faces of those of you here tonight. And I'm energized more than ever, because I think the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party must indeed rescue the land of Antigua and Barbuda. Some of the things that have happened over the last 6 months or to a year, if they had happened earlier, I would be thinking of other solutions. I'd be advocating for other steps to be taken. But since we have the opportunity next week, Thursday, and you have your weapon, there is no need for me to tell you what I have in my mind. We have the opportunity next week, Thursday, to do all the things we have been thinking about for the last 5 years. And I want you tonight, all of you, to tell me whether or not you have your weapon sharpened. You have your weapon sharpened? When you have a prime minister that says to a nation, without consultation, I am going to sell a golf course with 152 acres of land for $10 million US, it's time to get vexed. It's time to take out your weapon. When you have a prime minister without consultation to the people, and he's an expired parliamentarian, and he's not supposed to be undertaking transaction now, and come to tell you in his manifesto that he's going to sell APUA, it's time to get vexed. It's time. When you have a prime minister that says to you, before I finish VC Bird Airport, he done decide he's going to sell the airport. And he's not a government. By the way, I hear you all refer to the UPP as a government. They're not government in the sense that at this point in time, they should be making deals. They're expired parliamentarians. And all their duty is right now is to undertake the basic functions of the government, prepare the nation for election so that we can have a government after next week, Thursday, and then we can decide on policies and transactions for the people of Antigua and Barbuda. But he hasn't stopped there. Don't have the golf course on the list, APA on the list, the airport on the list. Then he gone to the seaport, Deepwater Harbor, selling that too. And let me tell you this, the sale of these are only the sale of the assets. The buyer will not assume the debt associated with any of those things that I mentioned. So they're going to get rid of the asset and leave the debt for you to pay. And then they didn't stop there. They say they will continue to sell your passport. My goodness, they sell your asset. Man, these people are selling everything. They shouldn't be looking to be government. They should be on Popeshead Street, man. These people should be on Popeshead Street. And then, listen, you have a situation again where they have decided that after the new airport is open, they're going to bring in one company, give them the franchise to operate up there and be in charge of all the taximen. So what's going to happen? The taximen will not be independent businessmen anymore. They're going to have to work for this company with the franchise. What's going on in Antigua and Barbuda? Why you are so quiet? And then let me tell you something. You know all the people who operate the shops in VC Bird Airport? They too will not have the security. They are going to be placed in a position where the conditions of them, some of them will not be able to meet those conditions, and they're going to have to give up their business. That is what is happening in this country. It looks to me like Baldwin Spencer has turned his back on the people of Antigua and Barbuda. And he has acted contemptuously of all of us. And so, as God would have it, time is upon him. Next week, Thursday, is the most important date in the history of Antigua and Barbuda, in the recent history. And one thing is beautiful. It is beautiful that we don't need to have any civil unrest. We don't need any more marches. All we need to do, what you need to do? What you need to do? Where is your weapon? You have your weapon? I hope so, you know. I hope you have your weapon and none of you selling your weapon. I hear the UPP is in the business of buying weapons. We have a great task ahead of us. Because when you look at this crowd, you have to understand your history. This country, up to 2004, was built out of the sweat and blood of people who are committed to your development. The Antigua Labour Party, and now the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, is as committed as those men back in 1939. We are standing with you, and we are determined for nobody to reverse, and I want you to listen to this, nobody will reverse the fortunes of this country. and take this country out of the hands of the people of Antigua and Barbuda. Today we had our manifesto presentation. And I must tell you, this manifesto, every one of you should get a copy. It is easily one of the best crafted programs for development in the history of Antigua and Barbuda. And let me tell you, we have an exciting program for tourism. We have a very exciting program. And the main feature of that program is this, that we are going to put tourism back in the hands of the people of Antigua and Barbuda. You remember it wasn't long ago that we used to have Sailing Week with the participation of thousands of Antiguans and Barbudans down Dickinson Bay, English Harbor, Jolly Harbor, and you see the vendors down there plying their trade, the visitors mixing, everybody having a festive time. Then the UPP came, and suddenly they decided that they will segregate, they will remove the people of Antigua and Barbuda out of Sailing Week. Well, let me tell you this. The Sailing Week that used to attract 250 to 300 boats every year, now down to 120, 130. And somebody called a minister McGinley. Let me tell you something. I have never met a man so incompetent in all my life. McGinley. He inherited a cruise ship industry that was the most thriving cruise ship industry in the Caribbean. The fastest growing cruise ship industry was in Antigua and Barbuda up to 2004. We were growing this industry. We had over 700,000 visitors, cruise ship visitors, in Antigua and Barbuda up to 2004. And guess what happened? McGinley went in India with his arrogance, went to Miami, and decided he would change the agreement we had with FCCA. And he was so disrespectful to the ship operators that he slammed his hand on the desk. And when he did that, they just looked at him. Looked at him. And when he turned his back, they just decided they can't deal with this man and this government. And then they switched to St. Kitts. Right now, St. Kitts is attracting more cruise ship visitors than Antigua and Barbuda. Can you imagine that? Well, the good news I have for you is this. This is the good news. Come the 13th of June, when the Antigua and Labour Party, the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, is declared victorious at the polls, immediately on the 13th of June, I have the permission of the leader of the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party. At that time, he'll be Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda. And we are going to announce immediately that we will begin to dredge the harbor of St. John's to take all the ships that are now trading. We have ships, the Oasis-class ships, the biggest ships in that sail now in the Caribbean can't come to Antigua and Barbuda simply because of the myopic vision of the United Progressive Party. We are going to also aggressively market and promote Antigua and Barbuda in the United States, the United Kingdom, and Europe, so that we can once again have these large wide-bodied aircrafts come into Antigua and Barbuda daily. We did it prior to 2004. British Airways, Virgin Atlantic, ask the taximen. Ask the taximen. They were coming here on a daily basis. When I go up to VC Bird Airport right now and I drive through, I see the taximen, they're playing card, they're playing worry, they're twiddling their thumbs, and their vehicles are parked. That is not tourism in Antigua and Barbuda. And let me tell you this, prepare yourself, because we are going to make Antigua and Barbuda the premium destination in the entire Caribbean when it comes to tourism. And we have a new concept. The concept is that tourism is not only where the hotels are built, it's not only down at the Deepwater Harbor. Tourism is the entire Antigua and Barbuda. And we are going to do it like Disney. When Disney say, when you land in Antigua and Barbuda, you must feel like you're in a special place. Every road, every neighborhood, everywhere you go, not only must you, as a visitor, feel you're at home, the people of Antigua and Barbuda must also feel a sense of pride that they live in a development that they can share with our visitors. So come June the 12th, we expect that you will go to the polls. And let me tell you something. When somebody abuses you, what you do? You have to fight back. When Molwyn Spencer hits you in your ribs, what you do? You have to fight back. The law allows you self-defense. And for all the beating you have taken from the UPP, for selling off your assets, for making you poor, for taxing you out of existence, it's time for you to fight back. You need to get in your pocket. Listen to me. I don't go anywhere without this anymore. Reach in your pocket and take out your weapon. Sharpen your weapon every day. Every day you get up and you say your prayers. When you don't speak to the Lord, the next thing you do, you say, Lord, let me see my weapon. And you sharpen your weapon, because let me tell you something. This election is not only a victory for the people of Antigua and Barbuda, but this election is to save Antigua and Barbuda from destruction. This is how serious this is. So you're going to the polls. Of course, you want to see the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party win the election, but you have a great to respond to the Christian Council. He's so afraid. Oh my goodness. What is he afraid of? You all know what he's afraid of? Let me tell you what he's afraid of, man. A young lady asked Molwyn Spencer one day, what is your vision for Antigua and Barbuda? You all heard it? I wonder if they could play that. He asked Molwyn Spencer. in Antigua and Barbuda. But let me tell you what we want to do. We want the same people who are getting the help to get a job and make money and feed their family and feed themselves. That is the way you develop a country, and that is the way you develop dignity and self-worth in the citizens of this country. So come to tell us that you boast because you can give people little $200, and by the way, the electricity so high, by the time you give them the $100 or whatever, you're no better off. When they give you the food voucher, by the time you go to the supermarket, the prices are so high that you're no better off. Pure gimmick. The good news is this. We have already secured commitments for investment here in Antigua and Barbuda. You should have absolutely no fear. And your duty is to stand with the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party. Your duty is to bring about the change come the 12th of June, which is next week, Thursday. We can't do it alone. You have the opportunity to create history in Antigua and Barbuda. We want to remind you that between now and Thursday, every effort should be made, not only by the candidates on the Antigua Labour Party, but by every one of you. You need to go back to your constituency. You need to go house to house. You need to convert people, take the message, refuse the bribe, and say to the people of Antigua and Barbuda, Labour, the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, Labour is here again for the rescue. And after June 12, you bet your life, all of us will come with the tools to rebuild Antigua and Barbuda. You have heard the men that come before you. You have seen the intellect displayed. You have felt the commitment. You have seen the compassion out of the bosom of these men. We are here understanding our history. We are here understanding that the future of Antigua and Barbuda lies in the success of the Antigua Labour Party winning the election next Thursday. And we say to you, continue to work hard, and may God bless you, and may God bless the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party. Good night.